Today I'm going to talk about transhumanism. Some people have touted it as a next evolutionary step of humankind using technology, but that really is a misunderstanding of what evolution is about. That is about natural selection. There is nothing natural about augmenting human beings with technology. So today I'm going to unpack transhumanism. As a kid growing up in the 70s, I was transfixed by the possibilities of becoming bionic, and that is through the $6 Million Man and having augmented limbs, eyesight, super hearing. All these things seemed very, very appealing to me as a young child. Let's take how augmented limbs are helping people now in today's society. We talk about replacement limbs, legs and arms, so that people that have had some sort of trauma due to war or accidents can still be able to walk and manipulate their environment to some degree. Although great advancements have happened in this area, it's still not there. For example, the ability to feel, the ability to control the limb using thought power alone, effortlessly like we do our own limbs. The dexterity and manipulation of objects around us is something that we cannot just take for granted, or at the moment machines can mimic perfectly. And the good thing is that it's helping people. We have the Paralympics, and that's testimony to some of the leaps forward in augmenting human beings. Other things that are a bit more hidden are the use of contact lenses, and that technology has come some way, and also hearing aid systems, giving people a better hearing, or people who have lost their hearing to be able to hear again. So all these are a really good use of augmenting technologies. But that's not what I'm talking about today. These may be small steps on the road to where transhumanism is heading, but transhumanism is a lot more than that. So now let's look at popular culture, and we're talking about science fiction's depiction of what we are going to discuss later as transhumanism, but what they sort of deem as machine-human merging. And the most popular and the most successful series on that would be Ghost in the Shell, where it not only goes into the sort of superpowers that these people have and their abilities, but it also goes into the psychological effects of messing around with what is essentially human in us. It also looks at the relationship between different characters who have different augmentations, but also their interactions with what they call normal everyday humans. So it's interesting, but will transhumanism ever come to that level? And is it desirable? Apart from the goal of overcoming disabilities and creating a better human existence, which seems to be our primary goal, one of our other fascinations as humans is to travel and explore. And one of the greatest frontiers that are still unexplored is the universe, or even our own solar system, a small part of the universe. The trouble is, the universe is a hostile place, and we evolved to live on this planet. Now, people are worried about this planet and what we're doing to it, so that's another driving force to look to spread the human race into the wider universe. And in order to do that, we've got to overcome hostile barriers. We've got to be able to expand our capabilities to live off of this planet. And this will involve technologies that can extend our lives, our memories, our ability to work in different atmospheres and gravities, maybe with some sort of symbiotic space suit or exoskeleton, but also to be able to, almost like you do with your technology now, have plugins so that we can adapt quickly to our surroundings. So transhumanism is not one thing. We're not all going to look the same. We're going to be like a Swiss Army knife of technologies, and depending on what you've been augmented to do, you will look different and you will have different abilities. We've got to be able to expand our capabilities to live off of this planet. So what abilities will we have when we're augmented with technologies? Well, let's start off with the brain. We have a limited capacity to remember or to learn information. If you go back to the early days of puppetry, there was a series called Joe 90 where he plugged in to a machine and it gave him any new skill just by simply downloading that and then using some special glasses which tapped into some sensors in his brain and therefore allowed him to be able to do practically anything he programmed to do. Well, in the same way, we could learn just by downloading more information. We could remember more by having some sort of secondary storage or augmented storage in our brain. There's also the ability to communicate. We are already connected to the internet via mobile phones, but imagine being able to do some sort of telepathy where you could be able to communicate with somebody through just the power of thought by transferring data via human brain interface to somebody else who may be on a distant planet, in another country, another county, or in the same room. But that has its sinister side as well, because imagine what would happen if we were all linked in brain-wise to the internet or to the grid or whatever they're going to call it in the future. People are finding it difficult enough now to work out what's real and unreal on the internet. How are we going to distinguish between what's real and unreal? And that's something the Ghost in the Shell, the sci-fi manga, looks at as well, when it looks at how we can cope. Are these memories that I'm having now my own, or have they been implanted in there? It'd be very difficult to know what's real and unreal. The other thing that people could have is augmented limbs, like we said before. At the moment, it enables you to do tasks which other humans do, but we're talking about augmenting limbs in order to become superhuman, to be able to have unrivaled strength and agility. Now that may be vital if we're travelling on other planets with other gravity systems, or in our own defence, or even if there's accidents and we have to use our superhuman powers in order to get out of sticky situations. So with enhanced thinking, communication, speed, agility and strength, these are the factors that we will need to have if we want to leave this planet or we want to advance as a human race. This is a very densely populated planet, and we're already proving that we cannot sustain this level of human interaction on it, so therefore it makes sense to travel to the stars. We've already touched on some of the downsides of the concept of transhumanism, or as it's deemed, H+, that's human plus, and that is, what do we think of those people who are already H+ and have lower abilities, or those people that have not got any augmentation at all? Will they become an underclass? We only have to look at the cosmetic industry to see how something that was originally designed to help burns victims or people with disfigurements to live normal lives has been corrupted by the rich and famous in order for them to look younger and to feed their own vanity. But if you've got the money, that's fine. And that may be the problem, or one of the problems with transhumanism. Will it be the preserve of the rich for those people that can afford the technology? Or will we enhance super soldiers to go out there and do our bidding and lose their mental capacity to think as individuals, more so than any brainwashing could do by linking them to some sort of grid? These are all the fearful consequences of transhumanism. I have no doubt that transhumanism and augmented human beings will be a force for good, but also they have the capacity to do harm as well, and that has to be looked at. And that's really the point. There needs to be a debate about where this is going, and there's already forums and societies built up on the internet amongst academics who are talking about this now. Neuroscientists, computer scientists, psychologists, all these people getting together to look at how we could do this safely and ethically. The consequence that we need to discuss for the human being is, what would it feel like? We already know that when people have been disfigured in accidents or horrific fires, that it has a really big effect on their personality. So even augmenting people over a time is bound to change the way we think and act psychologically. What will we do with this extra power and strength? How will it alter our minds? A lot of people are saying that the internet has changed us already, or is evolving the human race into something that is more connected, but also a little more sinister. We're sort of wobbling and finding our feet on the internet, and it seems to have a polarizing effect on our politics, our interactions with each other. So any technology that's going to vastly alter what it means to be human is going to have to be looked at, be worked out very, very carefully. But is that going to be the case? Will it not happen like the internet, where it started out as an academic exercise and then started to be taken over by the commercial world? And when big business gets hold of it, then really we lose control. It's what market forces want, and possibly it would not always correspond with what is best for humans. So what we've got to think about is, how can we do this ethically, or should we do this at all? I have a confession to make. I've often said that I would love to be augmented with technology, and I would, because I want to be in the forefront as a computer scientist of the latest innovations. But I also, like other people, want to be able to prolong my life so that I can see all the future innovations. Transhumanist advocates have been accused of being a new religion. People that want to augment humans, make a new utopia, get rid of the suffering and the human condition, and like all major religions, want the promise of everlasting life and a better place, but this time without a God. What I would say is that it needs to be done ethically. We need to look at the dangers that we could face on this path, and make sure that the people building augmented humans have got the right intentions in mind, but that may be easier said than done. So what do you think of transhumanism? Is it the next step for humankind? Are there fears that we may have a two-tiered system where the normal humans will be looked down on? Will it be the answer to humanity's problems, or will it just throw up more? Do you think it's a new religion? If you've got an opinion on that, then hit like and put something in the comments, and let's have the discussion.